Hey there, friends. It's been a hot minute since I made a video, and I had a few minutes, so I thought I would just share very briefly, at least by my standards, just some updates and what I've been up to and what I'm working on. I haven't had a whole lot of content to make videos on because I've shared with you the decks that I've gotten in the recent months, and I haven't had much to do in terms of walkthroughs or anything, and I've been working on my book, so that's kind of taken up a lot of what I would normally make videos out of. So, but yeah, I have, I've been doing some readings, and I have to say, in the last since I got this is the only deck I've actually been using. What? A Justify. It's the thing about these webcams is that they're very temperamental. Anyway, this is the Francois Gassman 1840? And, yeah, I've literally only been using this. I made a commitment that I would use only 3 decks in August. The Shimmering Veil, which is beautiful. The Bridge Witch Volume 3, also great. But every time I go to do a reading, I keep reaching for this one. So, that's what I've been working with. Also, I just wanted to share with you kind of something that I think is a really impressive deck that is not I'm not necessarily the audience for, but Queen Osset did an amazing hour-long discussion of this deck and some resources to go with it. And then Porous Palms on Instagram, who you should follow if you don't, Poruspalms, who is just starting a YouTube channel, did a great live on Instagram, sort of walking through and comparing Waite Smith to this. So what I want to say about this deck is this is the Hoodoo Tarot, and I became really curious in reading the guidebook after listening to both Queen Osset and Porous Palms talk about it. And the reason I want to share it with you is that I am known for not loving themed decks. I think often themed decks either end up stretching the theme or stretching tarot into uncomfortable places, and they don't complement each other. This is an excellent themed deck. It is I would say from what I've read and what I can see in reading the guidebook, that this is a situation where two things that don't naturally go together, Hoodoo and Tarot, feel enhanced and elevated by each other in this deck. It's beautifully written, it's beautifully done. And because I wanted to understand more, it's got a great guidebook, but it's slim. You know what I mean? I think this guidebook could have easily been 3 times as long, and I would have read every word of it. But it's really good. It's excellently well written. I wanted to understand more, and Queen Osset recommended some books in her video, and just wanting to understand more about, basically a major part of American culture, and traditional African religions, traditional Black religions. I felt like it was worth exploring more so that I could understand this deck in context beyond the guidebook. And it's interesting. The reason I said I'm not the audience for it is it's literally, I think it says who the audience is. It's for root workers, which is not me. But I'm really delighted to have learned so much from it, and to really just share how brilliantly paired the two systems seem to go. So I, in wanting to understand more, I also read, so the book is Tiana Lee McQuiller, and she has McQuiller, sorry. She has her first book, Rootwork. She also has an Oracle deck. So I read her book, and then one of Queen Osset's recommendations that I'm still working through is this Mojo Workin' by Katrina Hazard-Donald. This is a bit more academic, obviously. The audience is a little bit different, and this really traces history right from, its origins. But it's a really, really good book. I'm working through so many books at the moment, but I think understanding, the United States is also understanding how Black spirituality in this country was impacted by colonialism and how it's morphed today. So I really do think that this deck is great as just a pairing. I think it's really well done, and these two books have been educating, you know, and fascinating, and you don't realize how much of our culture is tied up in our history. Our present day culture is tied up in our history. And you also don't, I don't think, realize, unless you've experienced sort of, first of all, the resiliency of the descendants of enslaved people, but also how much of modern culture is still being impacted by stereotypes. I mean, first of all, most people don't know, that most white people certainly don't know, there's a difference between voodoo, hoodoo, and all the different branches of that word. And also how much of, you know, how many negative stereotypes have been applied to voodoo, hoodoo. You know, I mean, zombies, you know, are an extreme, you know, bastardization of a principle in voodoo. So anyway, I feel like if you want to understand this country and you want to understand systems like voodoo and hoodoo, you really want to go to authentic sources, and I think these are going to really change your perception about it. So, there's that. The big thing, really, in more ways than one, is this. This is the second draft. I don't know if you can see that. Are you done with the thickness? Of my next book. And I just did a first pass through the draft. Just, you know, looking at the language and picking out obvious typos and looking at things that need to be rearranged. I'm really, really proud of it. I don't know what the path forward is yet. I've been really torn between seeking out a publishing deal and self-publishing. So I when I wrote Tarot on Earth, I had no instinct or no sense that I would seek a publishing deal, because I felt like it was so niche. And it sold pretty well, and I'm really proud of it, and I don't think I would do that any other way. And, you know, it allowed me to get it out into the world more quickly, and in the shape that I wanted it to. And I got to work with, you know, a deck creator who allowed me to use their art, and I got to choose the deck. But on the other hand, I've always, you know, I'm a writer. I've always dreamed of having something I've written in, you know, in the bookstores. So there's a part of me that wants to go that path too. It's a much slower path. You know, I would, for example, need to write a book proposal, send sample chapters, you know, and then hope they'll want to see the whole manuscript, and then hope from there that they'll want to publish it, you know. And so that it would probably be a year at least before I knew whether or not it had been accepted, and then there's probably 6 months to a year of preliminary editing, and that, you know, so it would be a while before it got out into the world. So I'm not really sure. I mean, there's definitely been books that were self-published and became mass market books at a certain point as well. That does happen. So I don't know. As someone pointed out on Instagram, I can always do both. I mean, the only thing that really makes me want to pursue traditional publishing is just sort of the cachet that comes with it. You know, but, you know, from a financial standpoint, actually investing in self-publishing and doing all that work myself, you know, the cost ultimately comes down to getting the ISBN numbers and laying out the book. I could probably have that done by Christmas, you know, and so I don't know. I have complete and total respect for self-publishing, and I would get to keep all the proceeds from every copy that gets sold. You know, when you self-publish, the printing company, in this case Amazon, I can't remember it used to be, I can't remember that either. Oh well, quarantine. it used to, well, anyway, they take a percentage of the printing cost, but the rest goes to you, and you get that monthly after certain thresholds. So, I mean, it's actually, from a business standpoint, from a money standpoint, it's actually a little smarter for me to self-publish, because traditional publishing sort of, you get an advance on your royalties, and then you don't earn anything again until you meet that advance. And there's nothing saying you actually ever will. So, publishing is a gamble for the publisher, because they don't know how much they're going to sell, and they don't know if there's only going to be one print run, etc. So, but yeah, so that's where I am. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I mean, today I'm talking and I'm thinking, like, self-publishing is probably the way to go, because I want to get this into the world. But still, I've always dreamed of having my books in a bookstore. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on that, especially if you've had experience in both self-publishing and traditional publishing. The book itself I'm really proud of. It is a workbook, sort of like Tarot on Earth, but it focuses on Rider-Waite-Smith style decks, and I used the Waite-Smith images in particular, so that will be a relief to folks who are still not... I haven't converted over to pip decks yet. And it also is kind of everything I've learned about tarot in the last 20 years. And actually, it shows an evolution even since Tarot on Earth. In fact, the chapter on the courts has evolved since Tarot on Earth. So I've even kind of refined that process more since. And I really am proud of it. I feel like it's going to challenge in the ways that many of my videos do. It's going to challenge some preconceived notions. In some cases, it asks you to throw out everything you think you know about tarot. And it also encourages you to mix systems. That you can use numerology with and elemental associations with Rider-Waite-Smith. You can use the images and the numbers. You can, it's not all or nothing. The whole concept is that over a lifetime of reading, we built up this toolkit. And the book sort of adds and shows you how to access your toolkit, and also how to pick the right tool for the right job at a given time. And how to embrace, your what I call kind of your mental library of associations and thoughts for the cards. And it pushes, it's written to push buttons, as my videos tend to do as well, but in so doing to kind of shake up your complacency. It's specifically designed for folks who have a background, who've studied the basics, who've read the books, the famous books, and who have a sense of the card meanings. And then it's for kind of to help intermediate and or advanced readers kind of push through the plateau that we sometimes hit, where we kind of have read and studied and we know what the cards mean, but then there's that moment where it's sort of like, well, what now? I'm still not, these readings aren't quite getting what I want, and I still feel like there's more to go, but I don't know where to go to do it. It kind of goes beyond the meanings. So what you will not find in this text are card meanings. So there's not, it's not like the Ace of Coins means this, the Ace of Swords means this. That there's none of that here, because that's already been done. You already have that. This is designed to help you take that and move from what I call meaning-centric readings, where the meaning that you learned of the card takes precedence over everything else, to question-centric readings, where the question and the querent are paramount, and everything else, including the card meaning, serves the question. So I'm really proud of it. It's something that, you see an evolution if you've been watching my videos for a while. It's something I've been working toward. It's been a long process writing this. It was very difficult. It was much harder than writing Tarot on Earth in many ways, in part just because this year has been so fucked up. I'm looking at myself now. I'm actually wearing a hat because I haven't buzzed my head, and I look so mangy. And I was like, this nasty old hat looks better than my fuzzy bald head right now. So yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. I do not know what path to take with it, but I'm very anxious for people to see it. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen, but I did want to share it with you, and hopefully, if anyone's excited about it, it'll push me to work harder to get it out into the world. So, yeah, I mean, 2020's been rough. It's not over yet. I haven't really felt like making videos that much, and then when I have felt like it, I either haven't had time alone to do it or anything to say, really. But I do appreciate the folks who've stayed with me during my last few videos where I've been pushing and challenging folks to think more broadly about our place in the larger tarot community and in the world at large. I really do. I posted the other day that, so much of the history of divination in the world has been impacted by racism and sexism and bias. And it's hard to look at our history as diviners and say, oh, I don't have to worry about those things, because they're still impacting the world today, and our divinatory ancestors anyway certainly suffered because of it, by offering a service people wanted and still want. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what my next video is going to be. I certainly would like to get back to making them, but yeah. Anyway, I'll leave a link below to Queen Osette's video on the Hoodoo deck, which I really think you should watch all the way through. You may need to do it in 2 sittings, but it is so essential. It's essential viewing. So I think that's it for now. I do hope you're well. I hope you're handling the craziness in the world. I hope you're staying healthy. I hope you're wearing your mask. I hope you're being an empathetic and thoughtful participant in the global community. And I hope that I have more to share soon. So take care. Next time I'll get a haircut and groom, and be well.